The first time I heard you commentating, it would have been very early in TNA. I think it would have been Jeff Jarrett versus
2002.
Scott Hall. Yeah, Jarrett and Scott Hall were headlining the show, and the first time I heard you commentate, I was
It was like fingernails on a chalkboard, wasn't it?
I was looking for a pencil to stab into my ear.
You want to know something? I have gone back and replayed those tapes just for fun purposes now, and I can't stand listening to myself. I mean, it was bad. Now, we had the three-man booth, too, and that was hard. It was hard to develop. And once Ed went on to other ventures, and it was just me and Mike, it got easier. But, oh, yeah, I mean, I was terrible. I mean, I was just flat-out terrible.
You two had a similar-sounding voice, so it's kind of hard to, even though you're different personalities, but the voices sound similar.
You're so right. I mean, I'll go back and listen to them, and I'm like, is that me or is that Ed? And then when I realized that they were saying something intelligent, it had to be Ed.
But now it would be hard to imagine TNA without you. You and Mike.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, Mike and I get along so good, and you know, it's funny. Even the wrestlers always tell us how in sync we are. One stops, the other goes. The other stops, and the other goes. And it's taken a while for me to get up there. I mean, I'm never, ever be at his level, but it's a comfort level now, and I just couldn't imagine not doing it. I mean, it's just such a pleasure to be up there with him. He's the king, man.
Mm-hmm. So he's helped you a lot?
Oh, immensely.
Yeah.
And everybody that's tried to change me, he's always come up and said, don't. You will learn. You know, I mean, I was always a fan, but announcing's one thing. You know, being a fan's one thing, but announcing is totally different. And I used to do a lot of high school basketball and football when I was in college, and so, you know, once he was just like, just get into the announcing part, but don't change your personality. I want that. He said, Pete, you'll get over eventually. There are going to be people that will hate you the rest of your life, but there's going to be others that will, you know, you'll just become a part of it, and you know, it's just a time thing. They don't, you know, the wrestling fans don't like people that are not in the wrestling business to enter their world.
Right, exactly.
In WCW, Mike Tenay was always more of a bit player in the booth. I mean, do you know if he's enjoying taking the helm of the ship these days?
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob Ryder, who works with us and was at WCW at the time and doing other things, always knew how good Mike was. Mm-hmm. In fact, when Mike was first being asked to come over, I heard that some of the people were like, I don't know, you know, Mike's never been the go-to guy, and they were like, and Bob was like, I'm telling you, he's got to be the guy. You need to turn it loose. And when he came over, Jerry Jarrett told him, I want you to say what's on your mind. I want you to say what you feel. Don't try. We're not scripting anything for anybody. And once he took off, I think the whole world saw how good he is. And I'll be honest, you know, when I listen to everybody else out there, and I'm not knocking anybody because they're all better than I am. But when I listen to other people and listen to Mike, there's just no comparison. He can call move after move after move and tell a story out there like nobody can. If WCW blew it, they didn't realize what they had.
Mm-hmm. So who approached you about being a commentator?
Originally, believe it or not, when WCW was going, Vince Russo called me. Mm-hmm. And he was a big fan. Him and Jeff Jarrett and Jeremy Borash and these guys, when they'd be on the road, would get back in their motel rooms late at night, and they'd turn me on and watch me. And they were, you know, Vince was always like, this is the guy. I think we could work him in wrestling. So they actually tried to get me to join WCW, and I'm glad I didn't, because that would not have been the best atmosphere to go into as far as, you know, coming into something like that, and I don't think I would have ever survived a week.
Right.
But it didn't work out, and then when the Jarrett started this, Jeff called me for 4 months and wouldn't let it go, and brought me in, and then after about 4 weeks, I went to Jeff, and I'm, you know, reading stuff on the internet and everything, and I'm going, look, thanks for the opportunity, but you're taking a big hit for me. I don't want you to have to go through that. And Jeff looked me right in the eye and said, get some thick skin in a hurry. That's the way this business is. You're my guy. You're going to get better, and that's the last I want to hear of it. And from that point on, it gave me a little bit of confidence to go forward.
Yeah. And now that you've been there since the beginning.
Very first show.
Yeah. Is it a proud feeling now that you're going to be on national TV?
Oh, yeah. It's been an incredible journey. I mean, there were times when, you know, we didn't know if we'd be back in 2 weeks.
Right.
I remember one stretch we went on all these best ofs and started doing that, and we didn't know if we were coming back. Mm-hmm. and to have gone through everything and to have seen all the different people come in and out of there, and to realize that you've been there from the start when everybody thought you were going to fail, and then, you know, and to now be, and not just going to be on Saturday nights. I don't know if you heard, they're also going to replay us on Monday nights.
Oh, no, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so we're going to get 2 plays a week. I mean, this is huge, and immense pride. I can't believe that where we've started and where we're at. It's something that Mike and Jeff and I that have been there all from the beginning, and Jeremy Borash, we talk about, like, man, can you believe this? But here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, we had Ron the Truth Killings on here, and he said pretty much the same thing since he was there since the beginning.
He's in there from the beginning. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and he had a great run. I wouldn't mind. I love the crew, but Ron's one of those too. I wouldn't mind seeing him get back in the title hunt again. He's just so charismatic out there.
Yeah, I think when you're back on TV, he's one of the guys that really needs to have more mic time.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really how
him and Monty Brown both. Those guys can cut such good promos. The truth. The truth is, you know, I can hardly wait for the next Ron the Truth Killings run because it's coming.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Do you know whether when you get onto Spike TV, there's going to be more time for people to cut promos?
Well, that's a good question because the problem is we got an hour show instead of 2 hours.
Right.
Which eventually the goal, of course, is to get a 2-hour show. And you don't want to fill up an hour with so many promos, but yet you've got to get the characters over. And some of those people, you know, that's what endears you to them. You know, when Monty Brown cuts a promo, man, you're just, you know, he's so good. And when, you know, so you've got, but we also don't want to do things like everybody else. We've got to put people in the ring, and they've got to see how good our guys are.
Yeah.
So that's going to be that's a good question. That's going to be a tough balancing act because you've got to have both. But the last thing we got to do is have too much gabbing and not enough wrestling.
Yeah, I think the idea is to put the right guy in mic time. You know, like a Monty Brown, Ron the Truth Killings, and guys like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. They're going to get over on their in the ring action. Not
You're
really
absolutely
on the
right. I mean, Christopher Daniels is one of those that can do both.
Right.
But you're right. Some of those guys, they almost need to be seen as much as being heard, just because in the short time they're going to be out there in an episode, they might have a 6-7-minute match, and you know, let their work do the talking.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the ring, what do you think about the 6-sided ring?
You know, it's almost like I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, it's become so natural.
Yeah.
And I actually like it. In fact, when the cage is up on it, it makes the cage tighter.
Yeah.
So you know, it tells a good story there because there's no give to it. Because it just kind of pulls it in, and the guys, there's so much more things they can do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the guys are skeptical at first till they get out there. And you know what? To be honest with you, I don't even think about it as a 6-sided ring anymore. Yeah, I mean, it's just become part of us.
I'm the exact same way after the first couple of times I saw it. No, I just watch it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at first it was kind of hard when you looked at it because it was just so different.
Right.
But now, you know, it's just become a part of who we are.
Mm-hmm. You said about making the ring tighter when they had the cage up. And, yes, I don't think Gilly Skipper, he would have been able to do that big move that time either.
Yeah, you are dead on. And number one, if they, well, they didn't know he was going to do it anyway. They probably wouldn't have let him.
Right.
That's still one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
But you're right. He couldn't have done it. And Edix told me this. He said if it was like the old cage when they had the original Triple X AMW match in the cage, he said there's no way he could have done it on that because it just moved. But that one there, it was tight where he felt he could chance it, and I still don't know what he was thinking.
No. When he said about Russo brought you in, how did you get along with Russo?
Oh, fine. Vince and I have a common bond that we're both baseball fanatics. We eat, sleep, and dream baseball, and you know, you talk wrestling so much with so many people. Whenever him and I were together, it was almost always Cubs, Yankees, Giants, Cardinals. I mean, we just talked baseball all the time. I mean, it was a good relationship. Vince is a quiet guy. He's not. Everybody thinks he's, you know, real boisterous, and he's not. He's very quiet and reserved, and so I always treasured those conversations.
Mm-hmm. How would you compare Dusty Rhodes and Scott D'Amore?
Oh, that's a tough one.